Welcome to the third lesson, and we will talk today about seventh chord and also about triad versus seventh chord. So, about the seventh chord, there is something very important we need to know. In earlier tonal music, the interval of a seventh was considered a dissonant that needed to be resolved melodically. One characteristic that differentiates jazz from many other styles of tonal music, like classical music of the 16th through 19th centuries, rock or folk or classical, is that the seventh chord is the basic harmonic building block. So seventh chord have a more complex sound than triad and support extension of chord. And what I mean by extension, we mean the 9th, 11th, and 13th. That characteristic jazz and modern chord language. All of the progression from now in this chord will use seventh chord as the basics of the harmony. So you must keep it in our mind. In this chord, always in this course, always we will use seventh chord. Of course, we will use a bit of a triad, but our harmonic foundation will be the seventh chord. Now, the logical extension of diatonic triad is the addition of another diatonic third above the fifth of the chord. As you can see here, the notes or the three notes in black, it's a triad. Here we have a C major chord, and here we have a D minor chord, E minor chord, F major chord, G chord, and A minor chord, B diminished chord, and again the C major chord. Now, if I add a third above the fifth of any chord, I will get a seventh chord. The note in red here is a third above the fifth of each one. So the result is a seventh chord which contains a seventh degree above the root. If you look here, this B is the seventh degree above this C, and this C is the seventh degree above D. So in triads, there are only three intervallic relationships. Root to third, as you can see from C to E, and root to fifth, as you can see from C to G, and third to fifth, as here from E to G. This is the relationships in triad, okay? With the added pitch of seventh chord, the complexity doubles. So we have root to third to fifth, and we have third to fifth to seventh, and we have fifth to seventh. Those seventh chords are more complex sounding than triads. And this seventh also, as we said, allowed us to extend the chord more and add the ninth, the 7, flat 9, 13, etc. Now, chord with major third, perfect fifth, and major seventh from the root define a major seventh chord. As you can see here, we have C major seventh chord. What we have here, if we want to analyze the intervallic relationship here, I have the root, I have the third, and I have the fifth, also I have the seventh. We will talk about sonority in a minute, how we can get major seventh chord, minor seventh chord, minor 7 flat 5, dominant 7. In fact, we have 11 type of seventh chord. I like to call this chord 4 voice chord or 4 bars chord. I don't like to call them as a seventh chord, because when we have a sixth chord, it's like a seventh chord also. It's the same family of chords, because we have 4 notes in sixth chord. If I said C, E, G, and A, it's a 4 note chords, right? So I like to call this chord for now 4 part chord. So if I analyze this relationship here, I will get 1 or root, third, fifth, and seventh. As you can see here is the C major 7, and here the F major 7. We will talk more about sonority in a minute, but if I look also to the F major 7, I have root, third, fifth, and seventh. Always I am adding a third above the fifth, or I'm adding a seventh above the root of each chord. So next type or next sonority, we have a chord with a minor third, perfect fifth, and minor seventh from the root, defined minor seventh chord. If we look here to this chord, D minor seventh chord and E minor seventh chord, we have what we have here. We have root, now flat 3, fifth, and flat seventh, meaning we have a minor third and minor seventh in this chord. Same here in E minor. So the formula here is very simple. If we have a major triad with a major seventh intervals, we will get a major seventh chord. But if we have a minor triad like here, we have D minor triad, with a minor seventh above this triad, we will get a minor seventh chord. Now, the next one is chords with a major third, perfect fifth, and minor seventh from the root, defined dominant seventh chord. If we look to this chord, the G7 chord or G dominant seventh chord, we have root, third, fifth, and minor seventh intervals above the root. Or we can say a major chord with a minor seventh above this, we will get a dominant seventh chord. Second type or next type is chord with a minor third, diminished fifth, a minor seventh from the root. This formula defined a minor seventh flat 5 chord or a half diminished chord. This chord also known as a half diminished chord. Now here the formula we have 1 flat 3 flat 5 flat 7, or a minor third above the root, a diminished fifth above the root, a minor seventh above the root. Or by next formula we can say a diminished triad with a minor seventh above this chord or this diminished triad, we will get a minor 7 flat 5 chord.